Yeah, what did Christopher Nolan say about fucking Netflix?
He said it. I had the article here. Quick, I gotta find.
He said it was like pointless.
Yeah, pointless in the way they market films. And then a week before, I saw David Lowery talking in a ghost on his press for a Ghost Story say that's the lifeblood for films that are middle independent. You know, the things that are like $1 million to $5 million in budget. Like that's a place where those films can go and get a seat at the table where there's just not enough art house theaters for those kinds of things. You need to be a $15 to $25 million independent film, like Independent Spirit film rules, to make it into music box and things like that. So for the really small stuff, VOD and Netflix is their best chance at $6 a pop. You know?
Yeah, it's like it's sad because the art house is dead. There was an interview recently with David Lynch, and the guy who was interviewing him said, well, with the art house dying, as you said, and he's like, not dying, dead. You know, just cut him off. Like, that's David Lynch. He gives very short answers to everything. But the thing is, he claims that all like the art house stuff is in television now. And in a way, it kind of is. Like, the sad thing is that
stuff has gone up there.
Yeah, like the sad thing is, though, is that with the art house... with the art house dying and dead, I think at least one benefit to Netflix is that people will see it on Netflix and then want to see it on the big screen.
Maybe. I don't know if you get that sort of thing.
Like, I don't even know if it goes that way. If it goes Netflix first, then big screen.
I've seen a lot of independent films do a quick bow in the theaters and then show up on VOD and Netflix within a couple of weeks, even a couple of months.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think... I don't think we get to call it art house anymore. I don't think it gets to be this small little chamber piece at a theater. I think it's an art convention now. I think Netflix has become an art convention that here's your big stuff, here's your flashy stuff, here's your Hall H like we're playing in Comic-Con. Yeah. And then down the hall, here's all the little exhibitors that have really cool stuff too. Yeah. And chances are maybe even better stuff than the big stuff that you don't have to wait in line for.
Like I saw Okja recently. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, like I think Netflix is putting their money where their mouth is because they are flush with cash to do their own films. And I think it's helping. They're hiring a lot of, less experienced directors to put films like, well, not so much Okja, but I mean, little films together like War Machine and all that. So I don't know. I see Netflix as a really green marketplace. I anticipate Amazon Studios, who kind of has their theatrical wing, to do more, have a direct conduit to their Prime Video outlet and all that. Hulu is already kind of doing some of that with television. I expect them to dive into movies. I know, Criterion moved over to Filmstruck. Does that mean Filmstruck and Fandor will get together and do artsy stuff in a platform there? I get the purists that want, celluloid and all that, but I don't know. I mean, people are on devices, I mean, this is the access to things.
Fucking telephone.
I know. And I tell you what, I just saw a story yesterday. There's a billionaire moving right to it. Jeffrey Katzenberger, who just started DreamWorks. He's moving into, he's putting $2 billion into a new format of short form entertainment that's meant to go right there on that phone, whether it's television shows, news shows, and even films. Where now, if that can give a couple of short film directors some jobs, and a larger platform like that to have their work shown on, and that could be a springboard to them to do bigger and better things, I'm all for it. So I don't know. I don't thumb my nose at the death of the art house. I think it's become an art convention, and there are still really nice places you can get good stuff.
I know I was very upset about it at first. I kind of went on Facebook and went on a whole rant.
I remember that
because I'm a purist. I like seeing movies on the big screen. It's meant to be a communal experience. It's meant to be seen with other people. Even the annoyances of going to a theater, paying for parking, dealing with people in the audience who are annoying. Like, it's still better.
It is.
Than
you
leaning
can't
on
beat
your
that
couch.
experience.
Because like when you're on your couch, it's like you're getting drunk, you're getting high. You're not really.
You probably have this in your hand and you're not paying attention either.
Yeah. So. I'm guilty of it too.
Sure,
like sometimes I'll be watching a movie and I'm bored and I'm like, ooh, I got a Facebook like or something like that. And
no, nothing will beat the big screen experience, especially for the film you and I just saw, which is Dunkirk, which deserves every inch of the big screen experience.
Yes. Which I'll get into in a minute.
Yeah, fire away though.
But I do have thoughts. But you're robbing the audience of what it is. But again, this is a film business. Yeah. And at this point, business. That's what it is about. There's no money in going to an art house.
No.
Unfortunately, technology changes. Life changes. It's kind of like growing up and realizing you can't have what you want, and it fucking sucks.
It does, man.
Like it's depressing, and it's like on your point where you said, well, they're young directors who will get to go out and make their own movies.
I hope so.
The thing is, though, is
it's not
everyone can make a movie.
Yeah.
The technology is there.
Yep.
There's like a 15-year-old. I've taught 15-year-old kids who would know how to do things on After Effects better than me.
Right.
And now I'm like a relic where I'm like, I still remember Mini DV.
Sure.
And it's
same thing for me as a school teacher. They can do things on touch screen devices that I'm still learning because it's not my native technology the way it is for them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We're going through a weird transition, and I think that transition started, especially for art house, when film went to digital. When all those art houses had to, buy a $300,000 digital projector in order to keep in the business because nothing else was coming on reels anymore, and that is unfortunate, and that is not fun. And I applaud like the Music Box recently for doing the 70 million film festival where we both saw 2001, where that's fun to keep that stuff alive, but it is too few and too much, too few and too little. I like the marketplace that you can get some interesting content, but it's only content. You're right. Experience still matters.
Yeah, I don't know how big the art house crowd is, but there's so many kids out. Film is actually like, I looked at an article maybe a couple of years back. It's actually like one of the most pursued degrees now. Which, if you want to get a job,
because of the whole everyone can do it thing, or is it
yes,
interest level?
It's interest level, and everyone can do it. Like when I was doing it, not everybody could do it, but it was starting to transition that way. Because
you said with tools, right?
Yeah, because I started working with film and video like when I was 13 years old. This is like the mid 90s.
Sure.
So, by the time I got to college, it started to switch to memory cards, but they were still shooting on DV here and there. The first cameras I used were the kind you put over your shoulder.
With videotape in the box. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man.
But now, like any kid, there was a great soundbite from Francis Ford Coppola on Hearts of Darkness, where he said, one day there's going to be this little girl from Ohio who grabs her father's video camera and makes a beautiful work of art, and then the integrity of film will forever be dead. It'll be destroyed because then everyone can make something. Like a lot of art students, they can make beautiful films, but they tell shitty stories.
I tell you what, that's where the difference is, and that's where the talent. I think, to say the expression "cream rises to the top." Yeah. I think anybody who's got the tools can make stuff, but can you make good stuff? And that's where I'd like to see those film students that you're talking about go to a writing course, go to a screenwriting course, go to a staging and framing. Just learn more craft than just tools. So there's stuff to it where they can do more and do better. I wonder if all this is a cycle that's been coming. Like, we have all heard the legendary story of Spielberg picking up, Super 8 cameras in his father's
He snuck
backyard,
into Universal's lot when he was going on tour there. And he met the president of Universal, and that's how he got in.
I feel like it's the same thing, only just swelled because of the availability of devices. It's quite something. It's something. Yeah. I have no clue what this industry will look like in 5 to 10 years. I know Spielberg about 5 to 10 years said this is going to look completely different. It's going slower than he's predicting, but it's changing, and it's
this
weird.
New movie looks terrible.
Ready Player One. I don't know the book, and I mean, it looks
like a commercial for nostalgia.
I know. when I see the DeLorean in there trying to muck around in the streets and do its thing, I'm like, what? It seems out of place. I'm sure it's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Spielberg to me is slipping right now. We were talking about it last show where BFG did nothing for me. I don't know. But I'm sure this will be a hit because it's got all that built-in fan service.
Yep, but again, it's eventually Hollywood in 1977 found what audiences like, and before that, they found it with Jaws before Star Wars. So this is just an evolution of that, and now with technology, everybody kind of wants to make the same film. Everyone's excited for the newest comic book film, but I did a whole video about that already about Hollywood being creatively bankrupt.
Is there, in your opinion, is there a young director or writer out there who's doing it right, who has new tools, but is doing content that's better than just the repetitive stuff we're talking about?
Well,
is there a filmmaker or two?
We got David Lowery. We have the gentleman who just made The Witch. I don't know his name.
Is it Robert Eggers?
Robert Eggers. Yeah. Like I heard about how they're doing the new Spawn, and Todd McFarlane's directing it himself, which is going to be a disaster.
Ballsy disaster for sure.
We've seen what happens when David Goyer did Blade 3.
You need an experienced hand.
Yeah, we saw what happened when Frank Miller did. What was the Zorro guy's name?
Oh, what was it? Was it The Spirit?
The Spirit. Yeah. So we know how this is gonna turn out. Like, give it to David. What's his name again? Robert Eggers. Give it to Robert Eggers.
Yeah,
he knows how to do scary, atmospheric, psychological.
Right.
Someone who knows how to handle the material. Because when you have a director who has that much control of their own work,
it's just too muddy. You know,
it becomes some prequels.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's like people give outside intake, and I heard this from some people on the inside. Like they said they were working on Phantom Menace, and they told George Lucas they thought Jar Jar was a bad idea. Okay. So he fired him.
Ooh, so yeah, see, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, somebody has to be around that's an equal clout to hold them accountable a little bit. Yeah, you know, even artistically accountable.
Yeah, but anyways,
those are good names though. I'm with you on that. Those are guys that aren't doing the norm.
Yeah,
who have new tools but are doing good work.
Yeah, those are guys who actually prove themselves, and like I see guys like Gareth Edwards who. He can't tell a story.
You know, I mean, all these guys that go from the indies and take a quick hurdle to a blockbuster. Jordan Voight Roberts going from, you know, Kings of Summer to Kong. I mean, I don't mind Kong, but it's nothing special, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like whenever a director becomes popular or something, to give him a franchise to do.
Is that Christopher Nolan?
Hey, he did that franchise and he became famous.
I know.
But he's the luckiest guy in Hollywood because he can make what he wants and it makes like millions of dollars.
Oh, carte blanche.
Dunkirk made like $50 million.
And that's asking for a historical epic that has obscure way of telling it and it still makes $50 million. I'd love to see what it can do one weekend from now. Like if it takes a 60% dive. We'll see. If it's got some legs, I'm curious. You know?
I think it'll still be popular.
Sure. Just because of Nolan and what it can do.
Yeah, like I think Planet of the Apes just came out on a week where nobody just wanted to go to the movies. No, just and tired.
Boy, that movie just dropped like a rock too. That was a 60% drop, you know. And
they were just tired from. I didn't want to see a movie. I'm like, sure, man. I just saw Spider-Man. I just worked the whole week. You know, it was just a bad situation with a great film.
And that used to be, I mean, and Nolan's right here in his wheelhouse where that third week of June has always been his Inception weekend, his Dark Knight weekend. Where that's, you know, I like the patience of studios to wait to that third week of July to let all the July 4th crap get out of the way. All the May stuff's way done, and then nothing's going to come and run you over in August. So, because Detroit and Dark Tower aren't going to knock Dunkirk or Planet of the Apes off, but they've already kind of lost legs, or well, Apes has. We'll see about Dunkirk. So.
Yeah, but okay, so Dunkirk review. It's funny. I read your review to it.
Okay.
I actually agreed with a lot of things that you said.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. No,
and let me make this clear. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but let me make this clear to the audience.
Yeah.
Just because somebody isn't getting on their knees and blowing Christopher Nolan doesn't mean that they don't have an opinion. Respect other people's opinion, okay?
Not blowing Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, because like, no, seriously, here's the problem I have, like when people follow like certain directors. I remember I saw Memento before like the whole Batman deal happened.
Sure.
And I said, I hope this guy becomes famous. I'd never physically threaten violence on someone or think that their opinions are completely unvalidated because they don't think a movie's good, which I know you gave Dunkirk 3 out of 5.
So I gave it 3 out of 5. That's above average. That's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 scale.
Exactly.
But
it has to be a 10. It has to be perfect. It's Christopher Nolan, your opinion sucks. You don't know what you're talking about.
I have been fighting fucking people.
It's so fucking. What is wrong with people? Well, can't they just listen to a fucking opinion and respect it? No, because
I got on. Well, I pushed back a little bit. I got on a rant with a couple of fellow critics. Shout out to the Feel and Film podcast and some of those folks over there. It made me check myself and reflect a little bit. It was the term masterpiece, and for me, I know I'm a stickler about it because I have to be a stickler as a press credentialed critic, because if you overuse that term, it loses its value. So when I hate when you see the hyperbole come out in a review that says, oh, this is an instant masterpiece. To me, there's no such thing as an instant masterpiece.
No.
Masterpieces are named and declared when a career is over. When you look at the entire swath of what somebody's done, and you know what? That one right there, that's the fucking best.
Citizen Kane wasn't a masterpiece when it came out. 2001 wasn't a masterpiece.
We've come around on Vertigo being a Hitchcock thing that's kind of climbed the ladder a little bit.
Yeah.
And Nolan's what, mid 40s? Is he even 50?
No.
To me, has he made his masterpiece yet? He's made fantastic films, but who's to say he doesn't top himself? Same thing with, I don't care what filmmaker you're talking about. I won't name a Martin Scorsese masterpiece till his career's over. No. Now, I get that the dictionary definition is calling you out feeling
Raging Bull's a masterpiece.
See, that's the thing. Like, I subscribe to the, well, I know one dictionary definition of masterpiece is any great work done by a master, whether it's not the best or not. It's the idea of the word best versus the word any. Yeah. Now, I get that, but I think it could be overused. So I refuse to go that way, and I wait for naming one. Because I think it's more, I don't know, it just has more value when you have one. Now, I fully believe you can have these are all still personal subjective choices, but I think you can have a leader in the clubhouse. Like if this guy were to, and I always use funny jokes of how people die. Like if Peter Jackson was killed by a Bulgarian hooker today, his masterpiece would be blank.
Would be amazing.
Would be blank. If Christopher Nolan was hit by a bus today, his masterpiece would be blank. Like, I fully believe you can have...
I think it would be Inception then. There would be like a train in the middle of the highway.
If he was killed by his own train in the middle of the highway... No, but if his career ended today, do you have a leader in the clubhouse, so to speak, of a potential masterpiece? Yeah. And I think that's fine. If Nolan's career were to end today, it ain't Dunkirk. His masterpiece to me is Memento. That's my top number one, you know. And if he's the guy who's lucky in his first time out in that kind of way, good for him. But I haven't seen a film from a writing and filmmaking way past it since. Has he gotten better with his budget and his chops? Of course. But I mean, it ain't Dunkirk.
See, I don't agree. So now I'm gonna do what everyone does on the internet and flip this table over and destroy the room.
Right? Yeah. There's a lot of, but you said it. There's so many Nolan fan worshippers out there who I say put too many blinders. We said this when we were doing our Malick talk. Like, I won't give an artist a free pass. Yeah. I just can't. If I see the flaws, I gotta call them out.
Yeah. So and the thing is, like, people just want to see movie reviews now just to validate their own opinion. They're not really even before they see the film. It's like if you say, I saw Dunkirk, I didn't like it, they're going to be like, well, you're full of shit.
I know.
I remember when I worked for Ebert Presents way back, one of the people who was the critics on the show, she had a early review for The Dark Knight Rises. Okay. And she was like the first negative critic to appear on Rotten Tomatoes, I think. Or maybe the second one. And like people were like threatening her life.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is wrong? Even Christopher Nolan would be like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, let me listen to what you have to say.
One of my Chicago independent film critic peers.
Threaten your life?
No. Gabby Bondi. She's the editor. She's the editor of The Young Folks. And one of their critics did the first negative Captain American Civil War review last year, and it crashed their site with emails. And I'm like, it's just two things. One, it's just a movie. Two, I should say, go see it for yourself first. If you want to come yell at them afterwards. But this was sight unseen. This was 4 days before public release, and they're crashing sites because of negative. Like, how dare you even attempt to talk about it that way? And I've been fighting Nolan fans off with a stick for 4 days. It's been crazy.
I'm a Nolan fan, but I can admit flaws when I see them.
I'm a tremendous Nolan fan.
He's a master filmmaker.
Yeah, he is a master filmmaker. So for you, I mean, we'll stay in the positive part. What parts of the film really ping for you in a good way?
Dunkirk?
For Dunkirk, yeah. Okay.
The things I loved about Dunkirk is it's one of the first war movies I've seen in a very long time, if ever, that really depicts the absolute anxiety and true horror of war without having to result in graphic violence.
Right, this is a PG-13 film.
Yeah, and it actually doesn't feel like it's watered down, It doesn't feel like the way straight. I felt like, although it's rated R, it shouldn't be rated R, was Last of the Mohicans. That felt like a watered down kind of like fake, bullshitty sort of film. Like that was like, they shoot the guy with the arrow and there's no blood, kind of the same way like when I see the Hunger Games.
Right. I'm just like the classic PG-13 bloodless violence, Yeah.
But like with Dunkirk, it's really about how soldiers see everything and how their view is sort of skewed.
Oh, yeah. And that helplessness. Yeah. Like you said, the anxiety.
Like, because he
nails that.
Yeah, mostly in the film, you don't see what's happening because that's intentional. Yeah. It's intentional that you don't know where that torpedo's coming from or where that bomber's coming from. If it's a friendly or not. Like, we don't even see the enemy's face. And the closest we ever see it is when they're out of focus near the end of the film. So I absolutely love that. I thought I kind of miss David Julian in a way, who used to score to Christopher Nolan's films. I miss the subtlety.
Hans can get a little. I like it because it's strong.
But this one I liked because it was literally shell shock.
Oh yeah,
musically.
Yeah,
and that's what was so great about it.
His scores are so strong where I can see where people say it could be a bit of a dirge where it just keeps going the same point all the time.
Yeah,
but it's really effective, and he's raised his game where what he merges with electronica and traditional instruments, where he's throwing the organ in there and some of those hard strings, and
he works with Nolan
and the tick-tock of that clock that he puts into his beat of his score. It's just
it's
Zimmer's on another level.
Annoying. It's great, you know. The only scores of his I didn't think were so great, and people are gonna hate me for this, but I thought Inception was a little like the whole James Bondy guitar thing that even Nolan didn't want. Just sounded kind of like goofy sometimes. And I thought Batman Begins, that was like the first one they worked on.
I think so.
But like that one was a little too generic superhero. But then the second one, he honed it in.
He did.
Much
better. He picked those slower moments to put a little TikTok into it. Yeah. And that's been his thing. I think he missed an Oscar that he deserved for Interstellar a couple years ago.
I agree. That was one of the best fucking scores I ever heard.
Magical.
There was even a little bit of like Tchaikovsky's Solaris in there.
Oh yeah.
When they're about to take off and you hear those organs.
Or even just the church organ use alone.
I jerk off all the time to that music.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah. But like that was great. It really captured like shell shock and fear, anticipation,
and with a film that doesn't have that much dialogue or exposition, a lot of times Zimmer's score is the voice of the film, and the tension or the feeling of the film, and it's really well done. I can't argue a bit there.
It's a movie that really makes you feel like you've been transported in that time.
You don't feel like you're on a set. You don't feel like you're watching a gimbal or a soundstage. It's really impressive.
I'm thinking of I can't remember Hacksaw Ridge. I was thinking of that. That was like the fakest war scenes ever.
Fake. I mean, it's fun from an action standpoint, but they're so fake.
Knocking a grenade halfway out of the air, then doing a judo kick.
The torso shield thing.
Oh god.
Oh man.
It was like I just expected like XP points to start showing up, and the guy gets like a gun upgrade, like it's fucking like Battlefield or Call of Duty.
That was one of the films that got comped on me this past weekend in arguing Dunkirk. Was it's right there with Hacksaw Ridge. I'm like, are you
what?
And I'm like, have you seen both films? Like they tonally couldn't be any different.
Hacksaw Ridge. You know what the action scenes sometimes came off like when that one guy gets shot and they had the reaction where the guy's like, ah!
Yeah.
It literally looked like something from an early Sam Raimi film.
Oh, I know. Totally.
It was so like, I was laughing.
That's sicko Mel Gibson for you. Now, there's a place for that as a war film and all that. And when that film finally gets to the war scenes, it moves. It moves and it's good. Because for me, Hacksaw Ridge can't compare because Nolan in Dunkirk, really very minimalistically has little to zero character development. They thrust you into that setting and the mood and the time moves on. Yeah. Whereas in Hacksaw Ridge, you spend 45 fucking minutes doing the hayseed background story, romance angle, his lame dad, basic training scenes we've seen better through Full Metal Jacket, court-martial rulings and all. So you have you have a basic training movie, you have a court movie, you have a meet cute romance movie, and I hate my drunk dad movie. All before you finally get to the goods, which is the combat and the action. Yeah. And once you get to there, Hacksaw Ridge finally sizzles, but you take forever to get there.
Oh yeah. But it's like at least that movie had this movie had restraint,
Yes, and restraint is good.
And the great thing is like Dunkirk just shoves you right in the action in the middle of it. Here's a little title explaining it. Bam. Right. The whole movie's just a fucking hour 40-minute anxiety attack.
Yeah. And that gas pedal's down the whole time. There's not a lot of rest in that movie, And
it works. It doesn't feel overly exhausting or boring because that's what it was like.
Especially when you consider the way they mesh those three timelines together. There's not much rest, especially in Hardy's angle. Where that's an hour.
Just had to put a mask on him again.
I know.
Even Nolan was joking about that. Like, just like putting masks on him.
And I know a couple of people, especially the super duper Nolan fans, like, oh my gosh, Tom Hardy can say so much through his eyes. No, he can't.
It's pretty good eyes.
It's all right. I mean, he's got great eyes and all that, but like I saw one reviewer, somebody say this was one of his best performances ever. I'm like, oh no, it's not.
No.
His presence is great, but that is not a.
I think his character was cool. He was like the Top Gun pilot.
Yeah.
He like killed like 5 dudes like single-handedly.
Yeah, my only complaint with him, and it kind of moves into where my main complaint is, they give him the hero moment. Yeah. And if this Dunkirk story is honoring the history that is Nolan's national history, the hero of that story are the 700 civilian boats that crossed the channel to go get these boys.
Yeah, it's Mark Rylance.
You know, and well, that's the thing. You only get one boat, and it's Mark Rylance. I mean, you know that other boats are there and all that, and you have a nice little applauding moment when they all show up. But I felt like that moment was early and then undercut by Hardy's kick-ass hero moment of the gliding plane and saving the day.
I didn't mind that. I thought it mixed
I liked the moment,
yeah.
but it steals the hero moment from probably who deserves the bigger hero moment, which are the civilians.
I don't know.
Especially if Nolan's going to come on record and say that this isn't a war film, that this is a rescue film and not a war film. Well, if it's a rescue film, then the rescuer better get the hero moment.
Well, I think they both kind of had equally heroic moments, just because they didn't have like everyone cheering and stuff. Like you just saw these guys in these tiny little bullshit vessels, like actually extract these guys. And
the act is there, absolutely.
And like one of my favorite lines of dialogue in that film, from the dialogue I couldn't understand, from the music boxes, shitty speakers.
Great picture, shitty speakers. I agree.
Oh my god, I couldn't understand a fucking word anybody was saying, and I gotta see it on actual IMAX. Like
I tell you, I watched it on a pretty big screen, and dialogue's hard to make out. Yeah. Unless it's Kenneth Branagh talking, you don't get much.
Was it? Oh, like you saw it on outside of Music Box?
I did. Our critic screening was on just a straight normal DCP, screen. We were at, I think we were at the Icon.
And you couldn't understand what they were saying?
No, dialogue was still pretty rough to understand.
Yeah, what is it with Nolan and sound mixing? Like, God, man.
The sound mix is good. It's just
dialogue. It's
like
every movie, just like you can't. Like they had to like ADR Bane's voice.
I know. Yeah,
which was bad. And it was No, I thought the rescuers were certain. My favorite line of dialogue, like I was saying, was when Mark Rylance was talking to Cillian Murphy, who was like shell shock at that point.
Yep.
I'm not using PTSD. That was a watered down term.
That's a watered down PTSD.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, PTSD. Like, no, shell shock. You get it.
Yeah. But I'm on a boat and I get tea, so I'm okay. Yeah, come on.
But he was talking to a shell-shocked Cillian Murphy, and Cillian Murphy saying, you're going to go out there in the middle of war, you don't even have a gun. And then Mark Rylance says, well, did you have a gun when you were out there? And he's like, yeah. Did it defend you against all those ships? That's exactly why he was a hero. He knew he didn't need to kill.
I get it.
He didn't need to blow up. He just needed to save.
Rylance is just so boring for me, though.
He's a boring actor.
He's a boring actor. And I get that muted performances were the intent, because that's what every Nolan fan's been telling me. Oh, we didn't mean it to be that way. Well, you know what? Convey that a little better, So no,
like see hell break around him, and he's just like calm when you maybe want to see.
I'm not saying you need a Captain Ahab in that role, but just give me a pulse rate a little higher than Rylance. Like if that role was played by somebody, and I mentioned it to somebody, Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying full James Bond.
I think
indestructible Daniel Craig, but if you have his steely face, his steely voice, and saying those same lines of resolve and determination without needing the James Bond heroics, which unfortunately would be built in if you show up with Craig.
Yeah,
that's the kind of guy I'd rather have.
Unfortunately, like once you play James Bond, everyone sees you as James Bond.
That's the hard part.
Yeah,
But I mean, if that was Colin Firth.
Yeah,
I'd buy it a little more than Rylance. I mean, I can name too many people better than Rylance.
Mark Rylance just seems like he wants to take a nap all the time.
I know, and every time he does that, I want to take a nap too.
Yeah, and one thing you pointed out that I noticed was you said like it was missing sort of a human element, which
that's the crux of my review was I felt like it was missing. The film was missing an emotional anchor. Yeah. The setting made it emotional, the tone and all that's there, but I feel like the emotional anchor is stronger if you can attach it to a human, because we're humans.
Yeah.
I think we empathize or sympathize, either one, better when we're watching all those things happen to somebody that you're invested in.
Yeah.
And even though young Fionn Whitehead plays Tommy and we're following him a good chunk of the film, You know, there's not a lot there to grab to. He doesn't have a lot of lines. He doesn't show a lot of character.
Is that Mark the guy who's like Mark Relance's son?
No, no. This is the one soldier on the mole. Our main Tommy, the main young soldier.
Oh, you're talking about the singer.
No. Harry Styles came later. I mean, our stretcher bearer, first guy we meet running through town.
Okay.
Our main soldier. Like, I mean, I like. It's nice to watch him cheat death and root for him in that way, but that's not a super amount of emotion. And then you get Mark Rylance, who has no emotion, and then you get Tom Hardy, who really has no emotion. Yeah. So if those are my three heroes for the three phases of that movie, it's I don't know. It's not a heavy enough anchor. The tone and all of it gives you enough weight, but that if we're talking masterpieces and we're talking instant classics and we're talking unfathomably moving war movie, you're not going to get it from that. Yeah. It's not enough. It's honorable, it's respectful, it's sharply done, but I can't say it has heft the way other things have heft.
I partially agree on this. I think that
tell me what you say.
I thought there was a lot of characters such as Harry Styles' character, Tom Hardy's character,
a little wrinkle,
who like I don't know, there wasn't much to them other than like Tom Hardy was confident and he could shoot anyone down.
Right.
Harry Styles was terrified and he wanted to run away or whatever.
The one arc I liked,
or like he was hero. He was honorable. Like he defended that guy who everyone thought he was a German.
Right.
But like the heart of the story was in Mark Relance's vessel with the young kid.
His blonde son had a nice arc. I'll tip the hat to
No,
that.
the other kid.
The one who died of an aneurysm.
Well, I was trying to avoid the spoiler, but now you gave it away. But
it's the most unemotive death in screen history.
Well, it wasn't. It was supposed to be done like it happened so fast that it wasn't. It wasn't like Marion Cotillard in fucking Dark Knight Rises.
No,
where she's
it's not that bad. Okay, second worst death.
Yeah,
second least emotive death.
No, I thought that was okay death because it happens so fast you don't see what happens.
But it's on top of Cillian Murphy's character that doesn't do all that great because it's up and down with the PTSD or wannabe PTSD. That too is an ineffective death.
But you saw like sort of the result of what happens when somebody has shell shock and then they
lash out and all that. I get it,
And that was like really cool to see that. And it, the kid was talking about how he wanted to, make his mother proud because they weren't proud of him before, and that added some layers to them. And this was like a family working together in a boat. It's not like this image you have of like the military dad, like
it's not
like you go there, you save him.
It's not superior and subordinates. Totally agree. Yeah.
So like I liked that angle, but that was sort of the heart. That was the heart of the story.
You can bleep my spoiler if you have to.
Pretend
I cussed.
I might not. I don't know.
Okay.
But I thought that was kind of a good heartfelt angle, but I wish there was more of that and more of the characters. I wish there was something that
just a
you at
little
least got
more.
With them.
A little more. Especially if we're going to trim this film to be an hour and 47 minutes.
Yeah.
Give me 13 more minutes more of some character depth. It can be done.
Yeah.
It can be done.
I mean, outside of that complaint, though, it was brilliantly made.
Yeah. No. The last thing I'll say on characters, and this is me second guessing a filmmaker when I don't have to, is he uses entirely composite characters. Even Kenneth Branagh's main commander is not based on any particular character.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make a very huge historical film, or at least an epic, and I'm talking about emotional anchors and having at least something that the Tom, Dick, and Harrys that have devices like this can go home and Google something.
Yeah.
Give them a shimmer or a glimmer or a shimmer of a true story in there. Like a great story I've been telling people about who would listen is one of the first officers on the Titanic, Charles Lightoller, lived through, obviously, Titanic, and he piloted one of the little ships of Dunkirk that day.
Wow.
So that's a guy who survived Titanic, survived Dunkirk, and went back 2-3 times.
Put that guy in the movie.
All I'm saying, I mean, even if that's not Rylance's character, have an ancillary angle where, Lightoller's out here too. Like, just something a kid can go home and Google. Something even an adult like me can go home and Google.
Have a line like, I survived the Titanic, we can do this.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a rah-rah sort of
No, you don't have to make this, you don't have to Mark Wahlberg that character and turn him into something he's not, but that's an anchor. That's something that's something a little more believable than a composite character.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Or if you're going to do composite characters and you want composite characters you care about, go watch The Clinic that is Saving Private Ryan. Because those are composite characters you feel for, root for, learn about, and gravitate to so well.
I remember my
Dunkirk
grandmother
can't hold a torch of that.
I remember my grandmother weeping when the who was that one kid? I can't remember. He played like the bad guy in Avatar.
Yeah, and Giovanni Ribisi, the medic.
Yeah, and he got shot, and he's like begging for his mother.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that scene hits you.
Yeah,
and
I know that's not Nolan's purpose. He wasn't gonna make a movie like that. But if you want me to apples and orange war movies or rescue movies, I know better ones.
And that was a rescue movie. Yeah, and fuck Private Ryan in a way with that film because he caused all those guys to die just because he didn't want to leave. It's like, well, my men are gonna die. It's like, well, these guys are gonna die because you won't leave, asshole.
Or even if you have a character that's not meant to be a hero, like I watch people when I saw Saving Private Ryan on the big screen when I was a kid.
I never saw it on the big screen. That needs to be shown.
Oh my god, it's amazing. But like
there's even just, like, war vets who like were crying in the beginning and couldn't stick around.
But the actor's name escapes me. But Jeremy Davies, when he plays the coward character in the end.
Yeah,
you're so wrapped up in that film that there are people screaming in the theater, "Do something!" to that character. So if you can connect even to that character in a negative trait of cowardice, to be moved and just rattled by a film or by what you're seeing on screen, I can't pick a character in Dunkirk that can do that.
Yeah.
Let alone what Hanks does and Damon does and Tom Sizemore does. I mean, that's amazing stuff. It's a 3 out of 5 from me. It's not a masterpiece.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, I can't give it a number. I can't unequivocally say, well, it's 3 or 4.
Well, I mean, it's an average for me. It's a 5 for technical filmmaking, but then it's like a 2 for story.
Yeah, I'd say like, and I'd have to give it, I'd give it a 4 just because I haven't seen a war film that is as different or unique as this one in a very long time.
I grant
like
that.
A lot of them are just war film.
Our Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, they're Hacksaw Ridge, or they're Private Ryan clones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like every movie tries to get the Private Ryan look.
Yeah.
And Nolan just naturally has that washed out color scheme because he's partially colorblind.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why he does that.
But it works though, and it works. I mean, and where he puts the camera in this film, it's
very intentional. It's much more planned out than his other movies, where like he kind of likes to go.
There's misdirection because he makes a lot of misdirection films.
Yeah.
The Mobius strip of the time thing felt cute and a gimmick to me when I first watched it. Now that I understand what he was doing, like if I watched it the second time, I'd be like, oh, that's really nice. That's really clever how he meshed that. It felt like a gimmick and cute when I watched it the first time. Like, oh, we're twisting storylines now. Oh, it's so Nolan,
Yeah. It didn't feel like he was like. Luckily, his time thing never feels like a gimmick.
It doesn't feel like it got close to a gimmick for me in this one. Close.
Yeah.
It was still well done. He's still the master of it. But it felt too cute.
Like when they're going to the beach again when we were there in the beginning, and then when we're flashing back to Cillian Murphy.
How I say it is this, like, because some of the moments that are meant to be pretty good twisty moments, because they're repeated over and over, because you watch it a second or third perspective in time, the repetition takes away from what should have been these moments that are singular peaks. Like,
they're building up.
Yeah, like you were building up to these moments, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, what a great moment. But then you have to go watch that moment one more time again, and it takes away from how fun it was just the one time you watched it 5 minutes before then. Yeah. It felt like a comp I made with one of my fellow critics who watched it with me was, it felt like Sully. Where I mean, that plane crash scene, in real life time is only 2.5 minutes of actual time. Yet we have to watch that thing play out 4 times in Eastwood's film. Each time is still riveting, but by the 4th time, I don't care about it as much as you had me buckled to my seat the first time.
Yeah,
it takes away from the peaks.
Yeah,
that's a knock that brought me from 4 to 3 when I slept on it.
It didn't bother me, the time thing.
That's all right.
It felt natural within the structure of the film.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, he didn't do the time thing. A lot of the Dunkirk battle would just be guys standing around.
I know.
One scene that actually encapsulates the whole Dunkirk situation most beautifully was that single 5-minute take in Atonement.
Mm-hmm. I love that take.
Shooting the horses, and there were guys
the choreography of that. Mm-hmm.
Singing for their lives. And it's like a million times, but that's not the film Nolan was trying to make.
I know, that's the line I keep hearing. That's not the film Nolan was trying to make. But it's hard when you're going to ask people not to compare those things.
But
that shot in Atonement, I'm not saying it's better than any of the shots in Dunkirk, because there are awesome shots in Dunkirk. But that's a pretty good 5-minute sequence.
I mean, that captured much more of the desperation and sadness.
The disorganization for me.
Yeah.
When we meet Dunkirk in Nolan's film, we're lined up and waiting on the beach. It's like a bad bus stop.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the guy gets shot right away by other guys. And then,
Sure.
You know,
but that atonement scene's crazy.
The atonement scene just captures more emotion than that, and than the entire film of Dunkirk. But,
I agree.
You know,
which is hard.
Now everyone fucking hates me, and I see the downvotes. Come at me. Come at me.
Same here.
Fuck
I've been
you.
doing it all week.
Fuck you. Come at me.
Doing it all week.
Yeah, so I have a differentiating opinion.
Right.
Fucking shoot me.
It's still a good film.
We still like it.
It's still a really good film, but it's not a 5. It's not perfection.
I'd say 4.
Yeah,
like for me.
I was at 4. I slept on it, got to 3. I'm not gonna arm wrestle anybody if they call it a 4. I mean, it
just because I don't see movies that good often, and whenever you see a Nolan film, instead of like comparing them to other Nolan films, they're just fucking great films.
Yeah, I admit, and I made a point of that in my review of Dunkirk. I got to reread my review, but if I remember correctly, I don't reference a single other Nolan film. You know, I name drop Interstellar only because it matches the cinematographer and composer. That's it. Yeah. You know, because I want judge it on what it is. I mean, that's the problem when people carry those reputations with them into judgment of a film. It just it doesn't mix too well.
It does. It hinders your experience, kind of.
Yeah, like hey, just you're bragging about old girlfriends when you're watching. You know, this is your date. Dunkirk's your date tonight. You know, like that. Don't bring up old girlfriends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Fucking Batman. She was so much cooler.
Or I mean, I you know what I got a kick out of in terms of the internet reaction? Did you see the people who were calling for more people of diversity and female characters in this film?
There weren't any female troops. Okay, but here's what they could have.
But there were people who were actually had to say, just to be politically correct, oh, it wouldn't have been nice if there were more of them. Where are you going to put them in a historical story that doesn't have any? Like,
that would
I
be
get that you're trying to be
inaccurate.
cute and PC. Fuck you.
That's like trying
judge a film.
That's like trying to put female soldiers in Call of Duty World War II Activision.
Exactly. You know, like you're lucky you got. You know, I have to admit, these Disney reimagined fairy tales lately. Oh. They've been having. I know. But because at least they take place in a fairy tale setting, we actually get a few, like black characters in them, like the head of the guard in Cinderella is black. The librarian in Beauty and the Beast is black. You know,
that makes more sense. Yeah,
and they're trying in a fairy tale setting to put some diversity.
Just
in
don't
there.
make like the black honeymooners again.
Right.
Yeah, that was just dumb.
But you can't do. If it's not there, don't put it in there just to make PC people happy. Just make your film. And no one made his film, and I don't know why anyone even has to think they have to defend that.
The only thing he was missing was the 400,000 French troops.
That's the thing. Like we go back to the atonement shot. We go back to the atonement shot. I feel so much more volume of people in that scene than Nolan stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. Nolan still brought in thousands of extras.
Well, it's done in a minimalistic view, sort of.
I get it. You know, I mean, he still brings in thousands of extras. It calls to David Lean and all that, but I'll take atonement still.
Yeah, and just 5 minutes of atonement.
Just 5 minutes of atonement.
Not all the rest of the Jane Goodall stuff.
I like the last 7 minutes when Vanessa Redgrave comes in and breaks all of our hearts. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that takes me back to Dunkirk for a bit as well. So, but it's still a good film, people.
Yeah, but just because he doesn't
come fight
love
him,
it.
come fight me, bring it.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't think every single thing in the movie was amazing.
No, I didn't.
Kill me.
Yeah. Please.
Jesus, what is it with people?
I don't know, man. Well, I admit it's hard for me because I just watched before that War of the Planet of the Apes, and it's my number one in the clubhouse right now. Is the best
movie
film.
Was the best summer movie.
Well, that's got the feels. That has heft. It's a different film than Dunkirk. I get it, but like, if you ask me to go, if I had to double feature those two, I'm gonna love Apes more than I'm gonna love Dunkirk. I'm gonna go back and watch Apes before I'm gonna want to go back and watch Dunkirk.
Here's my one criticism of Apes.
Hit it.
I wish the whole movie just wasn't a prison escape film.
They'd spend a little too much time there.
Yeah.
And I get they're doing the Great Escape homage stuff in there, but you could have moved that along.
Well, it's like the whole war ended because of an avalanche.
Yeah,
what?
Conveniently, very, very conveniently.
Like that was it. It just took an avalanche. Like, what about everybody else on the rest of the planets? Are they all dead?
The father and leader arc luckily rises above that, but the rest, if you were to actually step back, you're like, this is a really lame war film right now. You know, because of the prisoner
really
stuff
and
war
film.
You don't notice the little girl walking around opening up everyone's pens. Come on, there's contrivances there for sure, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. The feels are so much stronger in that than Dunkirk. And
Yeah.
I admit I'm soft. I need feels.
How did the Statue of Liberty fall still? I don't know.
That's right, because somehow we're going to get there, aren't we?
I don't know.
Do you think they're done after these 3 films, or is there more?
It didn't make a lot of money, so no.
I know. I worry that they're stuck right here. But if it ends right here, it's a pretty good end.
Good, and on a high note.
Oh,
you
very
don't
much
need
so.
to, you don't need to fucking Batman
No,
it and be
we don't need a Tim Burton and go back and bring Charles Taylor into this, or whatever astronaut the first name was, but all that.
You know what? That's a dream film I always want. Is I want Tim Burton just to make one, but you see, it's only one film, so they can't make it. But just make a movie about an older Batman with Michael Keaton, and he's like about to retire.
Well, they kind of already aped the whole Dark Knight Returns stuff with this.
But I want it with
Superman
Tim
crap,
Burton universe from the 90s.
That'd be fun.
Where Batman didn't give a fuck and just murdered people.
No, but I mean, even if you merge Schumacher, you bring Jim Carrey back.
No,
On,
Schumacher.
it'd be fun.
No,
it'd be fun.
We're not bringing in Schumacher.
No, but no, a 90s, the 90s Batman made old, because him as the Vulture was fantastic.
Dude, he was the best part because that was a Marvel villain who didn't, or a Spider-Man villain more specifically, who didn't get a horrible freak accident at Oscorp and wasn't a mentor figure to
wasn't
Peter
connected,
Parker.
safely connected. In fact, even the girlfriend angle was almost too much, but it still played all right. So
no, that was great though, because
man.
he like sat down with him in his car and he's like, "Hey, look, I appreciate you saving my daughter, but don't fuck with me. I'll kill you." I'm like, "Oh,
it's a
man."
good scene.
Yeah, he was great as a Vulture.
good.
It was just, it was so much fun.
What have you? I haven't looked ahead. What's Nolan got next?
I don't know.
I don't
We'll
know. I
find
haven't looked
out.
ahead.
It'll be some other.
Is
heady
this
thing.
a?
I want him to make a political film.
I think he's got the chops, and especially if you're going to do twisty storylines.
Yeah.
A political film. When they were talking about him coming over for a Bond film, I'd take that too. But I'd rather see the political film. That'd be awesome.
Bond's too stylistically limiting, where
That's
he
true.
couldn't do anything
That's
with
true.
it. He'd have to still do like the silly like intro song with the naked girls, and he'd have to do the opening where he shoots.
There's too many built-in tropes.
Yeah,
I got you.
Like you couldn't make a Bond.
Is Dunkirk Oscar worthy?
It will be. I think
It's
on
gonna-
technical. I don't know. I have to see what else comes out this year.
Yeah.
Like so far, yes.
If I'm counting,
I want to see The Disaster Artist.
I want to see Blade Runner 2049.
I want to see Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
That movie's gonna be amazing. Didn't he? It's like Ridley Scott ain't what he used to be.
I'm glad he passed this to Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
I did
impressed.
not like Alien Covenant that much.
I was going to ask how that turned out. I haven't seen it since then.
You know, like Leo and I, Leo didn't review it with me. Someone else
Right.
did because Leo's busy. But like, he liked it. But I think Leo is kind of like,
He's your Nolan fanboy only.
yes, he's your Ridley Scott fanboy.
He's your Ridley
so-
Scott fanboy. The man can do no wrong.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we all have those kind of biases, but
Mine are loosening.
Yeah, I don't have those anymore. You know, like
Mine have
sometimes,
really gone away.
Like even with Scorsese, like I really with the Netflix thing that pissed me off is Scorsese's making
The
a
Irishman.
movie I always wanted to see with De Niro, Pacino, fucking Joe Pesci,
No, it's gonna be,
and it's gonna be on Netflix.
We're gonna watch it on a screen this big.
Fuck that! I want to see Joe Pesci's
Yeah.
old swearing face, like on a 35mm screen right in front of me as he just stabs a dude.
Spit coming out of the mouth.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. I don't want some Ultra HD 4K blur of that.
Yeah, I don't
either.
want
Just
that.
give me film.
Even movie theaters now are just like giant
Getting a
TV
little much.
screens.
Yeah,
That's all they are.
I get how. We all of us critics just watched Spider-Man: Homecoming, where they took us to the AMC. They just redid the main theater at AMC with the Dolby Atmos and the double laser projector.
The fucking
And it's
subwoofers are like crazy.
No, the sound, like I would love to watch Dunkirk, where your butt's rattling from sound and all that, and where we watched it at the
I
Icon.
placed
it
my
was.
penis right against that seat. And you're
Hell
like,
yes.
ah,
yes. If you're already jerking off to the Zimmer score, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah.
Hopefully
Even
your
Spider-Man
students never
felt.
hear
Even
this.
Spider-Man felt. But even Spider-Man felt too much.
Yeah.
With the projector and all that. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just. No, that's so for folks that want to see Dunkirk. Yeah, IMAX. If you could find 70mm and drive all the way down to Indianapolis to see it, be my guest.
Well, you could see it in Navy Pure IMAX, I think.
They're not open. They're still refurbishing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you can go to Lincolnshire and see it in IMAX.
In IMAX, yeah, but not 70mm.
Oh, really?
For those people who want 70mm, they got to go to Indy.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Like
you
music
can get it in
box?
35 with the music box. I don't think they have it in 70.
I don't think that was 70. It didn't look like 70.
No, I think it was 35.
Then again,
which is
I don't know.
sharp nonetheless, but
Yeah. So that's not real IMAX in Lincolnshire. Oh wait, yeah, it is.
it's an IMAX, but it'll be a digital projection IMAX.
Oh,
I know.
fuck.
I know.
Yeah. So you got.
But you'll get the sound, and I think the sound plays as good, if not better, than the visuals, where you'll get your money's worth in a straight IMAX.
Oh, nice. So where do you have to go to get IMAX again? Like Indiana or something?
To get legit 70 millimeter plus IMAX, you got to go to the mall in Indianapolis.
Jesus.
A buddy of mine who's a Nolan guy, shout out to Matthew Weinstein, local filmmaker. I think he's going to take the road trip to Indy and go see it. So
Wow, that's
dedication. Well, that's a Nolan fan for you. So.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's about all I have for Dunkirk. Thanks a lot.
Same here. No, thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, go check out Don Shanahan's channel. Every movie has a lesson.
Yes, thank you, sir.
You can also check out Every Movie Has a Lesson on the internet.
Yeah. It's the website that looks like a boxing ring where
Yeah.
we'll fight people for Nolan, and I'll be there with gloves and a smile. But no, thanks for having me, and see you next time.
Yeah. Yeah, take it easy, guys. Be nice in your comments and don't downvote right away.
Don't be nice. I won't name call you.
I
but
like
I'll tell you
thumbs
you're
up
wrong.
because then I get fans.
Okay, thumbs up.
Yeah.
If you like a good argument, we're here.
Yes, exactly. Try to be open about other people's opinions.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Don't be trolls. Bye.